Alright, hello all who are watching this. I've decided to make a small video tutorial for primarily my friends who are interested in playing Europa Universalis 4. Uh, this game has had a lot of changes and a lot of expansions, and it now has a lot of mechanics. But here, I'm gonna just do the general gist of things. I'm gonna, this is the starting screen. You click which nation you want to choose, their time bookmarks, but most people tend to start off on the standard start year of November 11th, 1444. Through this, you have the option of just seeing the pure terrain map. This is gonna probably be the default view for most of the game, and nations map, trade zones, which I'll be getting into, as well as the religions of various places. If it's striped, it means it is occupied by another religion. These are Catholics occupying Orthodox countries. These are Shia, Sunni occupying Shia, and some Orthodox here. This is a map of the Holy Roman Empire and who's in it right now. If it's striped, it is occupied by a non-Holy Roman Empire member. When you click on something, it shows its diplomatic relations. We've got development. I mean, most of these will be explained in the main tutorial. You can also make a custom nation, or make random nations, or have a random new world, which instead of this familiar site, it is different continents with potentially different nations, potentially even Norse live there still. But let us just begin. In a single player, of course, you have Iron Man or non-Iron Man, but for the descent, we will be doing this tutorial in Portugal because it doesn't have that much going on at the start. It is so. Alright. So let's start with this, once again, the nations map mode is primary map mode. You can see, differentiates between nations. Let us start with this tab up here of all your resources. So first off, you have your money. Money is used for exchange of goods and services. It is made. I'll explain how you make that later when we get to the tabs. You have your manpower. This is how here is an army. If this army loses guys, the guys are replaced from manpower. If you're out of manpower, your guys will not heal. You have your sailors, which is similar. Ships have, need to repair, and if there are no sailors to replace guys, they will not heal. Your stability, which controls a lot of things I'll go into later, but generally you want to keep it goes from -3 to +3. you want to keep it in a positive place, or you'll start getting things like rebellions and all sorts of negative events. Corruption is there are several things that can give you corruption, which is how bribed everything is. Uh, it uh, oh yeah. The corruption is generally negative, but it will actually prevent rebellions because shit's so corrupt that you know no, there's no sense, like, people are going to blame the corruption rather than the government. Prestige is kind of this is a old mechanic that is basically you when you plus prestige is gives you benefits listed below there. You generally want to gain more prestige. You get prestige from winning battles, completing certain missions, or colonizing places, and in converting provinces to your religion. Uh, so if you are a monarchy like we are, this will be your legitimacy. It basically lower your legitimacy. Once again, also starts to have problems, but higher legitimacy gets you benefits. Uh, it is affected by prestige and power projection, which we'll get to, and also the amount of political marriages. Now, if you're playing Republic, this is instead Republic tradition, where if it gets lower, you'll eventually fall into too low. You'll eventually fall into dictatorship. This is your power projecting, which is kept by having rivals and just mainly being aggressive. It gives the benefits below. It is not necessary, but it helps. Down here we have your three monarch powers: your administration, your diplomacy, and your military. These are based on your advisors plus your monarch's ability plus your nation rank. These are used to increase your tech, to develop provinces, and to spend on various things like increasing it can increase your spend military to increase your legitimacy. You can spend administration to increase your stability, and so on and so forth. All sorts of things. Then these four guys up here are each your they're basically each do the amount of guys you have means you have how many you have them to spend. Your merchants, which I'll talk more about them when we get into trade. Your colonists, because it's too early to talk about, they can go to places like this that are unsettled, in quotes, and begin building a colony there, costing money. To talk full about the colonial system, there are these places that are, non-colonized that you can set up shop in. They have, and actually I'll get more when I talk to provinces. Your diplomacy guys, your diplomats, you send them to do diplomacy with other nations. So you can only have 3 diplomats do things over a time, and if they're all spent, you can't have someone. If you have them all doing something, you can't send a declaration of war on anyone because they're all busy. And your missionaries, who can be put in provinces and for a monthly cost try and change their religion. Alright, now time to talk about provinces. Provinces are they have a certain amount of development, which is the combination of their base tax, their production, and their manpower. Base tax is how much tax money is given from the state. Production is how much they produce trade goods, which generally it's also used for shipbuilding and stuff. And it increases their trade power and as well. This is generally for trading and building trade goods. Production is in manpower. It's how many men live in there that contribute to the manpower pool. You can increase these by spending monarch parts, or in I believe, I forget which expansion is part of. You can also like rip up the development to get a temporary benefit, land, get immediate men, or immediate money, or I guess some sailors. So these are the claims on the province. Cores and claims. A core is like considered part of your, a legitimate part of your a thing, where claim is usually a thing you want to be part of your thing. Generally, claims tend to last longer than cores when in foreign provinces. Certain provinces have nations that are not around, but have cores in them that are nations that can develop out of them. You have also your devastation. If a place is occupied by basically captured by a foreign army for a long time, it builds up devastation, which has a negative effect on the local economy. You decrease devastation by basically having unoccupied, but also having active forts. Also the cost increase for increasing these, it goes up the more depending on the terrain, which terrain also has strategic benefits as well, as well as it is harder to develop mountains than it is more costly to develop mountain provinces than it is to develop like plains and farmland. You can also send your colonists to like organically grow them over time, but that takes a lot of time and is more time and money. Let's see. Right here you have your autonomy. Generally, increasing autonomy and unrest. You can increase autonomy to give out unrest, and I'll do so as an example. But it gives you decreases the amount of stuff you're getting out of that province. We have also their culture and religion listed here. I'll get more into those later. You can, of course, build either military units or ships on coastal provinces, or hire mercenary teams. You can also build various buildings. These are all divided into very explanatory names. Churches give taxation, production. These guys build more goods. These guys increase trade power. These guys, and these guys give you like more sailors or a bigger force limit. You have you have buildings, which you have castles, which normally when you enter a province you just have to wait a while and then the province will be captured. Fortresses have to be basically sieged down before you before they can be captured, and also they prevent armies from moving in further past them. Even you can't move if a Castile was invading, it couldn't move from here to here without taking this here to here without taking this fortress. It would have to move from here to 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 they would have to go all the way around. And the manufactories, these have been kind of changed recently. So you have the each resource has its kind of manufacturing thing that and this will make you produce like straight up more of these goods. Uh, uh, and then the rest of these are like stuff like you can build ramp instead of a factory. You can build ramparts to make it more defensive, or build these buildings to get more manpower or soldiers out of it. And if they have coal, eventually you can build a furnace. And then these two town halls and courthouses can be used to reduce autonomy over time, as well as increase state costs. Getting to that later. And you have universities that, in general, they decrease the development costs, like the amount of power you have to put in to develop a territory. Now, for unsettled provinces, they of course have, they have a base development. And some territory. Okay, I guess I should talk about. So there are certain like little things right here, which show importations. Also, I believe this one has There are also like emporiums, which you can increase for money that that are natural trade hubs that give following effects if you upgrade them, but are very expensive to upgrade. Oh, and let's see. Finally, we have supply limit, which is how many big stacks can exist on this before taking attrition. It's war score cost, which determines when if you're at war how much taking this province away depletes from your war score, which determines the winner. I think that it's trade good, which trade goods are worth different amounts, and these prices fluctuates. You produce amount based on production and production, and if you have like manufactories or what have you. I guess good. The cost of them increases the amount they are to money you make to produce, and also like the trade you have around there. Let's see. Oh, and states. States are like a region of countries. Uh, that you can they cost the amount of maintenance, but also generate like combined income. Seen here. You can also issue edicts, which brings up their state maintenance up, but gives certain benefits like spreading institutions and defensiveness and stuff like that. And if if they're not devastating, prosperity, they'll gain prosperity, which will give them an increase in to a boost. So I get Meanwhile, uncolonized states finally. Uncolonized areas are they have a base thing. This right here, like certain places are Arctic or arid, which in addition to like it when you're developed, they give certain penalties. Also reduces the amount of migration to that place. You also have a native cult, a native religion, and usually a culture. In New World locations, these places are usually override, where in old world locations, they will stick around all of the time. So when you colonize this, when you're done colonizing this, it will still be a Sunni nation of Berbers there. Whereas if you're colonizing, I don't know, Florida, it'll eventually replace the Portuguese Catholics while you're colonizing it. Travel days, how long it takes a colonist to actually get there and start doing it, how and over time there will be a 10% chance of increasing settlement population. But if your settlement is you're putting positive funding, there's a certain amount of guaranteed settlements letters that would or at least it will grow a certain amount every year. But this will chance to grow it even more. We don't have any colonists to send. Also, there is a certain region, you have a colonial range, so you can't just if you're I don't know Lithuania, this might be out of your colonial range. This right here determines the amount of sparse native population there. If once it's colonized, it'll basically join the population. Aggressiveness is how likely they're gonna send out an army of 5,000 people to attack this place if it's unguarded, possibly destroying the colony or just setting it back. Ferocity is how, 9% chance to each turn, and ferocity means how much damage they can do, like in a fight with your military. And finally, trade goods is question mark, but it might be one of the following things depending on percentage. Oh, and these are all announcements on various things, like truces expiring. These are places that have could use don't have a proper successor. You can hover over them to see what their deal is. Alright, you have also here your maps down here. There are little dongles down here that are for various things depending on what you have access to. I know some republics have a special dongle here. If you are in China, there is a special dongle showing the Mandate of Heaven, which is a mechanic. But in Europe, there are two main ones. If you're not a republic, there is the Holy Roman Empire, which is not much you need to worry about if you're outside the Empire until the Wars of Religions happen. Right now, the Holy Roman Empire is this federation of Central German and Italian guys who will usually fight outsiders, but will also fight among each other. Ruled by an emperor who is elected via these electors. If one of them gets stripped of their elector status or just gets swallowed up by something, they can be assigned a new one. There is an imperial authority which can be used to help gain these reforms, which can either unify it into a single blobby mass, or a kind of a more decentralized blobby mass. Though usually they end somewhere around here before the Wars of Religion, which is when Protestantism comes around. Basically make a unified empire very hard. There are also free cities, which are these one province republics that account for the more imperial authority they have. And these are how many states they're in, and like I said before, these ones that are shaded are occupied by non-Roman Empire guys. Let's see, and then you have the papacy if you're Christian. You can send, if you have you eventually earn papal influence over time. Uh, and these can be spent to do these special super things, or these special super moves that give you a big bonus, or if you have a cardinal, which I'll get into later, you can spend them on these to increase their chance to become pope. One of their chances to become pope. You can also donate money to the church to increase your the rate that the papal influence goes up, and that money can be spent on golden bulls, which are stuff that basically help, a bonus that applies to all Catholic countries, or decreasing the amount of reform, which we'll get into more in the religious tab. Right, time for nation tabs. Right, starting with the court tab, the farthest to the left. Right, so this is your court. You have right now we are right now we're kind of in an interregnum, but in general, you leaders have 3 stats. Their diplomacy, their I'll just turn this to slow now so things can develop a little. Their diplomacy, their administration, and their military, which helps increase these bars right here. And certain thresholds of these also have additional events. They also have traits. Usually you will see little bars depending on how, like this one is just as long as they're age ruler, you can see this one. When they're an heir that's underage, usually you don't see that. You have your a second one that happens like a couple years after, like I don't know, 5 to I think 15 years after rule, and then one that's like 20 to 15 to 25 years after rule that develop. You have your advisors, which are when they cost money, but both upfront and over time, but provide a benefit and also additional powers you get each month. In addition, certain events will trigger depending on who you have on your advisor count. So you can have one administrative guy, one diplomatic guy, and one military guy. Also, they have a religion and culture, which is important for some events, and their age, which as they get older, they're more likely to die. You can show that the store allows you to just remove them, so another one will replenish at the end of the month if you don't like the selection you're given. You can also promote them to make them they'll give more monarch powers, but cost more for a fee. Also, Coruscant is basically if you're married to someone or something, if your heir is underage, they will rule in their stead until they become of age. The chance of you getting a new heir, if you don't have one, is based on how many royal marriages. However, you can they're add a new thing where you can introduce a guy from a foreign house with a hit to your prestige and your legitimacy. They also will have a claim. The stronger the claim, the less likely a pretender crisis will happen when they ascend the throne. Generally, if you just introduce someone, they are very illegitimate. You can also abdicate, or basically if your guy sucks and has bad stats, you can have him stop being on the throne for a major hit of prestige, like 50. Oh, and by the way, this is the time bar. It can go from slow to very fast to stop. This right here is like your score, which is, esoterically is related to how much of a top military and administrator or whatever guy you are. Oh, here I forgot to mention this. These are the great powers. To be a great power, you have to have enough development, while also having enough institutions that your tech is like you don't have any tech penalties. There are also these hegemons. I've never seen them really come up, but if you've got enough going on, you can become a hegemon, which gives you benefits. Right. So we are a kingdom. There are 3 ranks: Duke, Kingdom, and Empire, which you can increase if you either via events and missions, or if you just have enough development. Absolutism only comes up during way later in the game, but generally this is like how as it says, how ruthless and efficient your government is, how like absolutely power is coalesced. Republics usually have a lower absolutism. Right here is your reform. Over time, you earn government reform. The amount, and then every so often you can reform your government. I think it costs more. The more you the more you the more less autonomous your guys are, like the more the more you get to update it. And I think there is also maybe something to do with like how big you are, increases the cost. Each time you get to select how your government develops, with certain options are unique to certain cultures and nations. And eventually you can just, at the bottom here, just do an entire different type of government. I guess I should say there are 3 types of government. Well, okay, so there is kingdoms or monarchies. There is republics of all sorts. They're like merchant republics or free cities, like free cities. And eventually, like, there are aristocratic republics and whatnot, and peasant republics. There are, theocracies, like bishops, and also monastic orders, and also the Pope. And there are tribes, which are usually more or less tech, have tech penalties, but are more like fluid. And you have, come into technology behind places to also like hordes, like the Khans. And also, stuff like First Nations in America and whatnot. Generally, there's usually a way to reform them, and, missions get on to make them an actual proper, monarchy or republic or whatnot. You can also use these points, though, to instead increase how much your governing capacity, which dictates how much land you can control that is actually states and not territories, which I'll get to later. You also have various modifiers, which are kept around here so you can look at them. Or also around here is when the revolutions happen, how likely you're going to be a revolutionary state. Cultures, you can so each nation has a primary culture. Ours is Portuguese. If they each are pronged to a group, which So if it's your primary culture, you don't take any penalties for having a state of that kind. if it is, if it is not though, however, it would be a good, yeah, no, no, actually, yeah, if it is not an accepted culture, there's a lot of unrest, you don't get as many taxes or guys from there, and they're less likely to listen to your priests. Uh, you can deal with this, like, three ways. One, you can, basically change the culture if your guys are next to them, but you can only do that, I guess, if you have a religion. This costs, diplomatic power. You can, instead, if they have enough of them, like, if they have enough development in a place, you can make them a promoted culture, which you only get one slot of, which essentially makes it like you taking the same benefits as y'all. By the way, also, if a culture is not your promoted, but it is in the same group, the penalties are way less. And third, you can, there is an option when colonizing to, remove minorities, which will basically put them on a boat and they'll settle this place, meaning they're there now and not here. And usually your culture, the culture and religion will be written to your own or an acceptable one. And you can also, down here, you can return provinces, you can make them a client state at a certain point, which is basically a vassal. Yeah, certain places, also show here that they're a member of the HRE or whatnot. And let's see. Institution. Well, I'll get that when I get to technology. So yeah, that's that tab. Diplomacy. Okay, this is big. So, here you have, like, a basic, like, a list of your modifiers, and you can click on the other nations to see what theirs are. You, generally can have, like, up to 3 rivals. Having rivals increases your power projected, and also gives you, like, target. Like, it's easier to declare war and take stuff from rivals. Like, you can just, like, decide to fire a rival willy-nilly, though you can't take any, territory from them. They'll also, though, impact your relationships to other people. You can have a certain amount of permanent diplomatic relationships, which include alliances, marriages, which, if you're a monarchy, which increases your, relations, but it makes it so it's, if you have a marriage in non-alliance, like, there are some stamina things you take when you, declare war on them, and it also increases the chance of you getting an heir. But if you're married to someone and you have, like, a lot of low prestige and stability and stuff, and you don't have an heir, there's a chance they'll, much like, Naples is here, make you put you as a junior partner in a political union, which basically makes you their kind of vassal, but you're ruled under the same monarch. Eventually they can annex you. So let's see. Let me just. So you have alliance actions where you can offer alliance, form coalitions against if they are, like, expanded too hard and got too many basically conquered too many places too quickly. The coalitions can be formed. You can also offer, like, your soldiers as confederates, basically turn your soldiers into mercenaries, but you can still control them. They just can play a certain percentage of their upkeep. These are more if you are very powerful. If you vassalize a country, what's good? Like France has here, they have their own ruler, but can eventually be annexed, and they can also be supported independence if they're rebellious. generally, vassals have also a liberty desire, which determines how much they don't want to be ruled by them, and if it gets high enough, they'll start to rebel, and also if it gets above 50, they'll start providing benefits to their, the superior nation. Let's see, you can also threaten war, or send to try and get what you want out of a nation without war. You can gain parity, which means basically it's like an alliance, but one way. Like I believe France has a guarantee for Scotland, which means if England tries to invade Scotland, France can intervene. Let's see. Sending warning also means if that nation declares war on anyone, you can intervene. So like that, you have relations, which you can. So you can send a diplomat long term over there, and they'll generally increase your relations to a nation to a point. By the way, once you send a diplomat, in addition to them having hit the bag, you have to wait a while before doing even if you have free diplomats, doing another diplomatic action towards a nation. Again. So yeah, you can do that. You can also, let me just set our rivals to new. You also get to see here how much bigger your relationship right now, if they consider you rival, and how much bigger your army and navy is. Your enemies are the people who consider you their rivals. Sending insult will cost prestige, but and gives them a CB, but gives you some power projections sometime. Scornful will increase their opinion of their enemies and gives you a special thing. Claim throne is let's see. Yeah. If you're not same rooming dynasty, you can have a roll image. You can basically put a claim on them and do a trader. Spying is also used by diplomats. Diplomats can build spy networks over time. They do this more quickly if they're a rival. You can also send a diplomat to counter spy on a nation to see if you can find any of their spies. If their spies found out their spy network gets downgraded, you use spying to fabricate. You can fabricate claims if you have enough spy network, which costs administration to basically give you a CB on the nation, like a way you can declare war on them, and then when you that will make taking that territory on the peace table more cheaper. Yeah, and then over time you unlock other things you can do with your spy network, which reduce your spy network, but cause problems. Economic, you can of course give people gifts or loans, or like subsidies, which are like money over time. Money over a certain period of time, though you can cancel beforehand. You can also ask nations to transfer trade power, which I'll get more into in trading, or steer trade. Issuing an embargo means, decreases their trade power, knows you also haven't. But it is, unless they're your rival, that you take a penalty to doing that. To your own trade. Access, you can ask let's see, you can also sell ships, or even your own provinces. And finally, access, you can ask to move troops through them, or offer to move their nation with even them if they're not like at war with anyone, or or allies. You can also offer to move your trade stuff through their stuff. how they remove them stuff for you stuff, and also free placing rights because so if you're I guess fleet actions so you can move army in like fleet or like simple in that you move to a place. If there's another army, you fight them. If not, you take the territory. You can also like attach them or split units to like different armies. When you build an army, you build a regiment by a time, which can be which are cavalry, infantry, and artillery. Infantry generally need to are the bulk of it. Our cavalry are better at shock damage, but you need to have like at least you can't have them be like more than half your army, or you take penalties in most cases. And artillery are good at sieging down bunkers and providing like support and like fire damage. Also here you can see which CBs you have. So when you, I guess a very important part is so I'll wait for so we can actually have the diplomats to show what potentially declaring war is like. Might end the video with just declaring a fruitless war that will probably lose. Oh, I guess we can. I'll get to that later when we're not on a Regency Council. So yeah, also, if you're ally, you can declare places you want to conquer via this part of the thing, and also see a general, and also see other people's. If you click on that, when you have another person selected, you get some additional options. So they have trust, which is how strong your alliance is, and favors, which means if you have like 10 favors, you can have them join in a war usually, and they will not they will help you without demanding like any form of compensation, like territories and whatnot. This also shows what territory they want to conquer and what they have claims to. If you have 10 favors, you can prepare them, which means they're more likely to join in roles, even if they got like other shit going on. And you earn favors over time if you click this, which lets you they can ask you to join in if they're AI, they can ask you to join in offensive wars. If you don't, they don't, but you build trust up over time. If favors up over time, if you do, even if they aren't involved in any wars. At the end of wars, if you didn't get much, you get favors as well. You can also manage your trip attitudes toward them personally. Very good if you're like a vassal or something and want to be pissed off at your host nation who's trying to annex you. Which, by the way, it takes requires a diplomat to be busy. Requires a certain amount of like a monthly military power investment over time. And there are a bunch of other requirements on it as well. But if you're done annexing, once you're done annexing, it just becomes a part of your nation. Alright, moving on to money. Alright, here is your basic economy screen. It shows you the sum of all your income. Production is making goods, trade is trading them. Gold is if you have a nation that thing that produces gold. It will instead just give you raw money based on how much it's produced, instead of being trading it or whatever, because it's gold. Tariffs are like basically taxes extracted from colonies. You get a certain amount of money from vassals. If you're offering basing rights, people will give you money for your ports. because you're oh, I forgot to do that. So ships have like a bunch of AI actions to do. You want your so there are four types of ships: big ships, light ships, galleys, which generally only are good in like Mediterranean and the inland seas, and but are like cheaper and can be almost as effective as light ships, and transports, which are you know bad at combat, but can move armies across the sea. And your ships can do a certain amount of actions. They can protect trade, privateer, be pirates. They can protect trade or privateer if they have light ships in them. They can hunt. Any ship can hunt pirates. If you have an explorer leader type, they can explore. And if you have a they can engage in like automatic actions. Once again, ships blockade ports, which, in addition to harming the economy and causing devastation, also good for when you're sieging a place with defenses because if they are not blockaded, it makes sieging them down harder. Alright, get more on later. Subsidies is people giving you subsidies for the war, which is, basically, if you stand on a place long enough, you can loot it and gain money with your army. That's also stuff from blockading. Reparations, one of the terms of peace you can give is reparations, which they'll give, which causes a country to give a certain percent of their income to you over time to you. Let's see, you have, money you got from, renting your guys out, and knowledge sharing, which is a thing I'll get to later with the tech stuff. Inflation, so if you get money from nowhere, like as gifts, actually not maybe gifts, but like as just raw lump sums at peace deals or getting money from gold. There are other things that can cause inflation as well. It causes inflations, which causes your stuff to cost more. You can reduce their inflation with administration or get a master of the mint thing, or there are certain ideas that reduce it. War taxes, when you have this checked when you're at war, it'll decrease the amount of military power you'll get per turn, but gives you a kind of increase in economy if you because you're gonna need your guys to be your armies to be at full strength. You have most of these are self-explanatory. Interest, if you take out a loan, it does cost you a certain amount each month until you repay it. I guess loans are another way you get inflation. In addition, you eventually need to pay it back. Also, you can, though, unless you don't want to, declare bankruptcy, which causes a lot of problems. So most of these are self-explanatory. You can turn forts, mothball your forts to reduce their maintenance temporarily. Colonies, so these sliders, colonies, adjusting this slider if you have a colonist increases or decreases the amount of people gets, how much the colony grows. It can actually decrease enough to grow in negative and will actually start shrinking. Missionaries, this increases their strength and how quickly and how, or their ability at all to convert a province. Root out corruption. If you have corruption, you spend you spend money to decrease it. Army maintenance. If you decrease this, you generally, this is the main one you want to decrease, especially in times of peace. When you do that, it decreases the morale and the fighting efficiency of them, but, you know, it don't it doesn't matter that much in times of war. Do note, though, your army takes full maintenance if they're drilling, which I'll get to later. Fleet maintenance, generally you want to keep if you have, like, fleets doing anything, you want to keep this at max, because, let's see, yeah, it will also decrease their, repair and manpower. But though generally, if you want to reduce cost of ships, you can instead, mothball them, and they'll be reduced to 30% HP or whatever, and they'll cost less. But when you demothball them, it takes a while for them to get back to full thing. Similarly, it takes a hot second for when you do full maintenance on your guys for them to return to full morale. You can also debase your currency, which increases your corruption but gives you money. And you can do this 5 times in a period of 12 years. That's the main way you get corruption. Trade menu. So there are these trade nodes around the world. The provinces trade to those trade nodes. You generally have a node where you're collecting money from by default, because that is your main one, and that's where all your nation's money goes. You can send your merchants can be sent to either collect from nodes or transfer power up them, which is so if you're making money around here, you can, if you have any trade power around here, which you can have by just having a merchant, or you can have, like stuff, normally, if you have trade power, it normally tries to go in the way to your trade center. It can also be like, oh, this is, generally, though, you have to have a province in the area. Transferring trade also helps steer it into a node you want, because usually there are multiple options for places to go. Like, if you say you were Hungary, you want trade to go up here to you instead of over here into Venice. Oh, sorry, I'm getting all stuffy. So also this tells you how much percent of your income is trade. You can also promote mercantilism, which increases the effect of your embargo, and let's see, and your loyalty of burghers, which I'll get to eventually, and the local trade power of your provinces. So we have a merchant right here who is, by just going there, they have trade power there, and they are transferring the trade power from this region into our main region of Seville, which we naturally collect from, but we can send a trader there to collect even more if we were to want to. Though sometimes you also want to send traders to collect in places that, you have, like, territory, but are upstream, to say, from where your normally stuff is. Like, say, I had, I don't know, Brittany. Well, there's no way I can get from, like, Brittany, I conquered part of Brittany. Well, there's no way that leads from Brittany to Seville. So instead, I place a merchant there so they collect the trade that's generated there, instead of doing a very long process of sending it back. You do get, if you do own places, they do, what would be a good example? There are cases of, let's see. Yeah, there are instances if you have trade power there, but no, like guys, they'll naturally rewind, but it's very less efficient than sending things forward, which you can tell what for by these arrows going. Also, when merchants are there, you have an option of what you want them to do primarily. Like they can either increase the node's power, like geared to maximizing how much power they have in the node, like how much influence they have there. They can increase your spy network, give you a buff to spy networks, or improving relationships. This label shows how much trade. Another way you can increase trade power is by, you saw earlier, I sent those ships on a trade protection mission. If merchant ships are patrolling an area, they increase how much power you have over that node. It's a good way to project power and increase your profits, and also help the ships be active while paying for themselves in a way. Let's see. You can also, if you're a Muslim group, you can use this to spread religion, and if you are if there are inland routes, you can use these to set up routes to increase your sieging ability. Also, you can send pirates. Pirates eat a chunk of their trade. You can also send guys to hunt pirates, which reduces the efficiency of pirates. There's also something with trade companies. I haven't done much with that, so I'm not an expert on it. Right. Technology. This is the primary thing you use your powers to do. Once you get a certain amount of power, you can increase your tech, which gives you options to new buildings, new units, better units, increases your, gives you different diplomatic options, gives you more proponent cultures, more. Oh, by the way, you also have a trade range. I cannot send merchants out all the way to the White Sea to do anything because it's too far away. But that increases with technology. Your increases your supply limits, gives you new forts, all sorts of good stuff. There are things that can impact the how much it costs to do tech up. One, if you're ahead of time, it costs a certain amount, causes a certain amount of increase in cost. However, ahead of time in some of these also gives you an additional benefit, trade affection, like these two here. It doesn't give you anything for military because the primary thing is your fight guys are better. Also, if you're ahead of time, you get innovativeness, which is a general thing that increase. If your neighbors are ahead of, have more tech than you, you get a bonus, but it also increases your innovation. And then another thing is institutions. So, most of Europe starts with feudalism, and then over time, these institutions activate based on a year criteria. It looks for a place that matches these precedents. For instance, the Renaissance will happen somewhere in Italy. That's not Malta. And once they hit, everywhere that doesn't have them gets a slowly increasing up to 50 tech penalty until they embrace them. Embracing them costs money depending on how many of your provinces have that. You can also, which shown here. These are Generally, like, things having a lot of development usually help spread them. Also, you can have state edicts. That increases the spread of these institutions. And stuff like that. And yeah, if you don't have them, you start to fall behind because they only go up to 50% for each one, but they stack. And this is how, like, if you're playing, say, a Native American nation, you don't start even with feudalism, so you have to, it is hard to get teched up. And it's generally a race to see how much tech you can get before Europe tries to run over you. As they will try to. Similar, China has a specific penalty to getting institutions to them, but I've not seen them have that much of a problem with it. And yeah, also embracing them gives you usually a secondary benefit. Ideas. Ideas are another thing you spend your monarch parts on. For 300 a pop, you get you first choose a category and then do each one in the category until you have the the full thing at the end here, and you get an extra benefit from it. In addition, you have national ideas. For each 3, you unlock one of these, which gives you a bonus, and once you get to the end, you unlock your tradition, which in our case is global tariffs. In addition, more ideas you have of a category, decrease the amount of points you have to spend to increase that one's tech. And some of them have built-in, like, discounts to certain techs in them. And also you have, like, your traditions, which are the ones basically you get for free. I'm good at trading, and I have better colonial range, because I'm Portugal. And Portugal. Missions. As you saw earlier, we completed one with this one for England. Some places get, like, generic missions, but, like, some historical nations get these specific ones that kind of guide your progress. So they have conditions you need to meet, and when you meet those conditions, you get a like, whatever the reward is, and unlock your ability to do ones further down. Some of these let you do things like, form an empire, or, like, even though if you don't have the amount of, stuff. Okay, so when you complete an idea, you get a, when you complete 2 ideas, you can combine them to make an administration policy, a policy, which are, once again, administrative, diplomatic, and military. That gives you a bonus when you apply them. You can have one in each category for free. After the first, they cost, well, unless you have a thing that says you have more free, they cost, like, a monthly, power tax. These decisions, once you meet, they are things like forming a nation, in certain things, or, like, stuff like, stating a state firearms regiment. They're point by point, they tell you what they do. Some of them can be revoked, some of them can't. Alright, stability and exhaustion. So war exhaustion. The longer you're at war, the more exhausted you get. Usually, if you are losing, if your places are getting conquered, that causes it to increase a lot more. If you're having war taxes, that causes it to increase war. If you're fucking, if a lot of people are dying in general, that causes it to increase more. You can reduce it using diplomatic power. Stability, you can boost your stability to +1 for a certain kind of, administration. Do note there are things that reduce this, it goes up the more you spend. Do note that, there are certain events that also cause, your, stability to go up and down. Governing capacity, how much, like, stuff you can govern. So states come in two things: territories and territories and states. If they're territories, they don't count for your governing capacity, but they have a autonomy lower cap of like 75, like a big one. You do not get like you also don't play upkeep on them, but you do not get you cannot decrease their autonomy by below like a certain point. So generally, you want as many states as possible because even though they cost you money, they usually make when they're at 0 like percent autonomy, they usually get you back the money you're spending on them. Disasters. You see, these are potentially possible bad things that can happen if their criteria is met. Usually, once their criteria is met, there's like a countdown until they become a real thing. And yeah, they're bad times. Overextension. When you conquer places, you have to core them, which costs administration and also time. Once you if you do not have them cored, these count for your overextension bonus, which gives you penalties to gives you corruption and like a bunch of other penalties. So generally you want to core them. Also, a thing that war exhaustion does is increase the cost of that to do all that. You have here your how much your colony tends to grow per year and what your colonial range is. And once you have a colonist, you can set your native policy. You can either just try and grab the land and remove the natives, which makes your colonization faster, but it angers the natives, understandably. You can trade with them that, which reduces their anger, but there's a chance they'll actually join your colonies. Or you can just not have to worry about them ever fighting you. But, you're doing a very slow colonization at that point. This is like a national average of your unrest. Each nation thing has their own personal unrest based on various factors. When unrest is high, guys start rebelling. Like the Moroccan separatists might be here. As you can see, they have one arrest because they're... And what type of rebels happens depends on what they are. These would be separatists. You can also have religious fanatics who want to change your religion. You can have peasants who want to, more lower taxes, more autonomy. You can have nobles or pretenders who want to take the throne. Nobles who want to do their thing. All sorts of stuff. You can handle them in serious ways. You can accept their demands, which, not going to happen with these guys. You can, convert them or change the culture. You can also do harsh treatment, which, generally, will, you spend, military to just fucking crush them. And also boosting diplomacy, helps with, instability. Religion. We are Roman Catholic, which means each religion has these two things up here. Like, they're two things. Catholics, they love other Catholics. They hate other Christians that are not Catholics. You have your tolerances. Tolerance of the true faith means even if people are like other cultures, you being like a certain religion will make their penalties less bad. Because hey, we're all Christian here. Right now, this is the symbol to the Hussites because there were like a recent heresy that was added. In the recent update, tolerance of heretics. This list for Christians will grow as the Reformation happens, but right now it's just, Hussites, Orthodox, and Coptic Christians. But yeah, the more lower the more negative these is, the more people who are those religions hate being in your fucking country. And then also heathens, which are any religion that aren't part of your group, which is, represented here by Muslims, who are in our country. Right now, there are various ideas, like, humanists that can increase these.
like cause these increase. Ironically, as of a new update, the golden bull that tends to happen, which is like one that increases the development, but also fucking increases tolerance of heathens. So by default, Catholics are more tolerant of people of other religions than people of slightly different interpretations of Christianity. Fun fact. Alright, because usually religions have also their own like specific mechanics. Like to hear, religious unity is how much like your nation is of a unified, religious group. The more, more or less than 100% that is, the more problems happen. And here's your missionary strength, how good your missionaries at converting people. Right now, we could send, also down here, we can send missionaries to go to places. But right now, this would be fruitless because it would cost us, 30.33 gold a month. And they would make zero progress because they would not, if there's no number down here for how many months it would take, they will not convert if you put a missionary there. Most of the Catholic stuff is tied up into, special religious stuff is tied up into the Pope and stuff here. But they also have this addition thing called Reformation Desire. Certain events cause this number to go up. The more, once it reaches around 100%, the Reformation happens, which Protestant and Reformed epicenters will start hopping around Europe and converting other provinces to Reformed or Protestant. The Pope can spend some of this money they all got to decrease this, so they're pretty bad at it with the AI, but hey, if you're human, you can do that. You can play the Pope if you want to. But yeah, and there's also, I never seen how you can get defense against Reformation, but apparently it's a thing. Let's see, yeah, and over time they'll convert like your provinces to this, and they'll be full of religious zeal, meaning that you can't easily deconvert them until enough time has passed. Also, I think all religions get that. You can become defender of the faith, which gives you more benefits the more nations that are your faith. Generally, if another religion declares war on the nation of who you are a defender of the faith of, you intervene or you lose the title. And it costs like a bunch of money to become the defender of the faith. Also, here, cardinals, we don't have any. Cardinals give you more influence. If you have a cardinal, you can instead invest in them, so to get control of the Cura, the Holy See, basically make your guy become Pope. And if your guy can become Pope, in addition to, like, you get a bunch of, you get, like, a bunch of, like, bonuses. And, right now, and if you're, during, like, the earlier areas of the game, you can do two very powerful things. You can excommunicate a Catholic ruler, which gives them a bunch of negatives, and you can just declare war on them to remove them. Or you can call for a crusade, which if you choose a non-Christian nation, you declare war on them. If anyone is at war at them, they get a bunch of bonuses. Do note, though, the Papal States actually have to not like the guy for you to just excommunicate them, which can be tricky. Right now, the Pope is controlled by the Papal States, which is what they want to do, because that's also the only way they can decrease Reformation stuff. Right. Religion, military. So yeah, so as you advance in tech, you unlock different, basically like a choice select on different like upgraded units. These vary depend on what nation you're in. Like I know the the Hungary has a you see these this tech tree. That means they'll get different units than us who are Western. So will the Turks will gain different from the Molinuks, and so on and so forth. Let's see. Yeah, and each has their fire and shock, which are two different phases of the combat. One phase does fire damage, the other does shock. And there's a general combat effectiveness, and they also have morale. Generally, once one army's morale breaks, they retreat. That's how victory is determined, or they all killed, which is more rare. Also, you have ships will upgrade over time, but that's automatic. At a certain tech point, you get to set your ship policy, which gives you a certain benefit to what you want to do with your navy. We get a special one because we're Portugal. Alright, right here, army tactics is a general buff you get increased over as you get more. It gives you more a damage increase, and that is mostly increased by tech. Discipline is also an increaser, and that is usually increased by tech, but there are also some ideas you can get. Some generals will do that. There is a guy you can hire that can do that. Your fort defense, generally native parts have a defensiveness they have to them, which means how long they take to occupy, or if they're a fort, how long they take to for the different parts of the siege to happen. Sieges happen phase per phase. You have your combat width, which means how many, if your army is over 20, only 20 of these guys are gonna fight in the front row. That's another reason cannons are good for, is they can fight from back row. Siege ability, how fast you can get the timer to tick down for occupying in different parts of a siege. This shows how many forts are active. You can now have them mothball or activate all, and you can have them automatically activated in times of war. Army tradition is increased by a lot of things. But for one, and since you're fully maintained fort, it gives you, these, ability bonuses, and also makes the generals you recruit from here better. Your base morale, your, force limit, once you get over these too many regiments, you, start taking they start costing way more. So you generally want to keep them around, if, instance, we're 20, we want these 20. You can increase them by, buildings, getting more provinces, developing your provinces, or, you just technology increases or ideas. A navy tradition, similar but navy, and also there's a universal ship ability if you got that good wood. So we have leaders. You can only have so many leaders before you start taking penalties to, it start costing you monarch powers, over time. Getting a new one, you pay monarch powers. If you have certain exploration trees, you can also get instead of generals, you can get conquistadors and explorers who can, I might as well, assign him. Explorers can, go on exploration missions to reveal parts of the map. Meanwhile, generals, conquistadors can walk around on, terra incognito on the map. Without those, you cannot go to these parts. And also, you can make your ruler or heir a general if you want to, but that lists them dying. And I guess now I'll just assign this general to explain how drill works. So you can have an army drill, which makes them pay full upkeep, but increases these meters, which give them a their army drill, which in general gives them like they're prepared. They have a bonus. Uh, uh, a bonus over time that like makes them more, gives them more discipline, makes them hit harder, stuff like that. That also increases this bar up here, which is the Army Professionalism bar. It is a general that applies flat to your armies, increased by them drilling or making new generals. It is decreased by hiring mercenaries, and like also you can click this button to get if you need emergency manpower, but it also decreases this bar. At certain thresholds, you get certain abilities, like the ability to build supply depots, the ability to disband your armies to increase manpower, and all the way up here, like just general like good shit. But you know, drilling army makes them play full upkeep. The amount of the over thing you get is based, I think, on the percentage of your army that's doing it. Like compared to force limit. Yeah, and see, these guys are getting like some defensive buffs right now. Oh, and generals have 4 stats. They have their fire and shock, which increases the amount of damage done in the fire and shock phase. Their maneuver, which in addition to making your army move faster, makes it so you might be at advantage or or have your enemy at disadvantage at certain terrain features. Like, you know, the mountains give the crossing rivers, whatnot. And yeah, that is general midship. And finally, because we don't have any subject, let's go to the estates, which just had a major rework. Actually, good chance to show off the combat system. Right, so we get them. By the way, drilling also decreases your guys' morale, even though there will be, because you know you're spending max. While they're training, they're very vulnerable. So do not train while at war, and guys might punch you. So as you can see, they're sieging down this area. This defensiveness is increasing the amount of time it takes. But they will, because of it. There is no fortress here preventing them from just taking this place, so it's 100%. Okay, in sieges, usually this is what level 4 and how many people are in it. You get like 20 points from this, which is the overtimes. So right now it's fast growth, but you can get things like low supplies, defenders desert, fucking bad things happening, like basically sieging them down. And that causes this to increase. In addition, generals can be good at siege. Having enough artillery can make you better at siege. This is mostly a negative. If it's like the port is unblockaded, it decreases. If the wall is breached, they can go in. Like, it's easier to siege. And each time there is a dice roll, and it usually showing a percent. If that dice roll beats whatever number it needs to beat, you win the siege. And here is like the army's tradition. And in forts, you have the option of if you breach the wall, you have the option of sending dudes in. If you have enough artillery, you can spend military points to break the wall. I think they added an option to do that with ships as well. But anyway, let's show... Right. Oh, by the way, these normal rebels, to check out the rebel chart. If they win big local autonomy and then state gets a bunch, and you lose a bunch of prestige. I think they will have this place. Right, so they surrendered. Rebels with, if you do not have a, if you leave a place and they're, so this is occupied by them now. This increases the devastation over time. If you have a fort nearby and don't have a person on it, an occupied place, it will eventually go back to its native place if it's a friendly fort. Let's see, yeah, of course, traveling places with army, takes a while. Alright, here's combat. You see you have, the whiff, it's on grassland, so it, no terrain modifiers. Each phase, it's either a shock or a, fire phase. Artillery tends to be good at shock. Cavalry tend to be good at cavalry tend to be good at shock. Artillery tends to be good at fire, and infantry better at I think equally good. And of course, because our general has a shock number bigger than their general, we get a bonus to this die roll. Each roll time there's a die roll each phase. The roll, the more damage you do. Alright, back to the estates. So this is major rework. Each estate has a loyalty, importance, and like a benefit or negative if their loyalty is too low. If they're too important, they might overthrow the government. Right? Most Christian European countries have nobility, burghers, and clergy. Though some other ones, like this area right here, tends to get Cossacks. Muslim nations can have Christian minorities represented by an estate. Those types of things. You can give an estate certain. Each state has a loyalty equilibrium, which will they'll try to go towards. This can be increased by various factors. You also have the estate land. So you have a certain percent of crown land, which is owned directly by the state, and then everything else is owned by one of the guys. So right now, and if you have, in our case, too little crown lands, you get some pretty bad penalties. Oh yeah, finally we have an actual king. So let me show off what declaring war would be like. So we can declare war to take any of these places. We know they will call their allies. If we declare them co-belligerents, usually it is costly to take stuff from a guy who is allied to, and not the primary target. But if you call them co-belligerents, they get a you can basically act as though they were the nation you declared war on, or was declared war, but they can call their allies in as well. You can also let's see, call in your allies, but in this case British does not want to do any of this mess. If you could scroll over here to see the reasons. Right now, it's because they're fighting France in the 100 Years' War or something, I think. Yeah. If you also like there are certain like different war clauses like humiliate rival, which I can't take any layer, but I just beat them up and laugh about it. Sometimes allies, if you don't have enough favors or like they have land they want, you can also promise them land, like a benefit, like stuff they want to capture. But if you don't give them that after the war, they get angry, and it decreases their trust in you. But anyway, back to estates. You can give them like a certain things that might give you an additional benefit, and also like might just increase their like standard loyalty, but also will probably increase their importance, and also sometimes decrease your maximum. Almost always decrease your maximum absolutism. Well, for later on in the game. And certain things can only be done if certain thresholds are met. So with crown lands, you can also sell more of your crown land for a money boost, or you can seize crown land, which makes them all unhappy, and if they're low, they'll start rebels if it's below 30. But it will increase your crown land, getting you. You can also increase your crown land, but of course, when you conquer places, it's usually to you. When you colonize places, you get that. And when you develop places, it increases your crown land by a small amount. And finally, you have a summon diet, which increases all of their influence, but also all of their loyalty. And then you select one of the estates to take a mission for. In this one, this is one of the usual ones. Increase the base tax by 2. If you complete this, you get like benefits. They are more loyal. If you fail to complete this, they get angry at you. Let's see. Oh, that was pause. And it also, if they are above a certain loyalty, in addition, they'll make their abilities, like their stuff here, better. Like instead of just more tax, you also get more powerful influence, more stability, stuff like that. These guys give you like better development, and nobility gives you like more manpower, like raw manpower and stuff. And finally, last but not least, something I overlooked until this point: ages. So the game is divided into 4 ages: Age of Discovery, Age of Reformation, Age of Absolutism, and Age of Revolution. Each of these have goals, accomplishing goals in addition to increasing your power projection, also increases your splendor over time. When you get enough splendor, you can take one of these things at the top. Some of these are specific to specific nations. Some of these are universal. When an age ends, you do keep some of the age of filled objectives of filled power projection, but it goes away over time. In addition, there are certain effects that happen in each age, like right now we can call for crusades, and Reformation centers will appear. When the Age of Reformation ends, we can no longer like excommunicate people or fucking call crusades. Who the fucking cared? Also, once we enter the Age of Absolutism mechanics unlock. And yeah. And once you have completed 3 objectives, you can declare to enter a golden age. You can only do this once. Even if you do collect, I think even if you do complete fucking three objectives in another age, that's not your golden age. Golden ages give you a bunch of benefits, so when you do them, so you know, I think Civ has a mechanic similar to that nowadays. And oh, spy nectar has been discovered, decreasing that stuff over time. And yes, there are a bunch of minor, like, individual national mechanics. Like, for instance, fucking, we can fucking... You know, we can send one of these guys, fucking... to do stuff. I don't know how they work. But, you know, there are, like, there are revolutionary republics. It's a complicated game, but I hope I've described the general. Then sorry for suddenly having a cold in the middle of this. Hopefully this is enough of a tutorial to get you started, Kevin and whoever else wants to play this. I might do another one if requested, but until then, good night.